Hey everybody, so today we are making a quick dinner and it's vegan pad thai. So as most of you know, the thing that makes pad thai, even tofu pad thai, not vegan is the fish sauce. And so we're gonna start this recipe with like a vegan version of, I call it an umami bomb, and that just means like the most depth of flavor, the really funky flavors that you would get with fish sauce. You can recreate that in your kitchen with plants. So to get started with that, you need to have 3 cups of water in a pot and then 3 cloves of garlic. And I just smashed the garlic and I keep the papers on and everything, partly because it's quick and easy, and also you're gonna strain this sauce. Then you're gonna put half a cup of soy sauce in there. And so we're adding some seriously dark and salty flavors here. And then we're going to just go straight for the fishy taste of seaweed in this sauce. And so there's lots of different seaweeds and you can use many different kinds. The fishier taste the seaweed, the better, or the kind of more like sea flavor that you have in it, the better. So we're looking for, this one is wakame, and wakame is kind of like the spinach of the sea. It's the stuff that you get a few flakes floating around in your miso soup. This is very easy to use, like sea vegetable, and it usually comes already chopped up. So I put a little handful of that in. You can use kelp. I live near the ocean and we have a edible seaweed called fucus or bladderwrack, and it is very fishy tasting. You could use a little bit of that if you wanted to put it in. And then if you have a couple of dried mushrooms, I've got some chanterelles here, that even a couple of dried mushrooms will add even more depth of flavor. So that's it, just pop it on the stove and let that come to a boil and then simmer for about 20 minutes while you're doing the next step, which is just soaking your rice noodles. And I got a big package. You want the rice noodles that are thicker. These ones are about as thick as a fettuccine, if that the pasta name fettuccine helps you know which ones to get. I'll show them to you. Or you could get the one size thinner than this, which is more like a linguine. See? The nice big, fat, thick, broad ones. And it costs one wok, a decent sized wok, feeds a family of 4 plus a little bit. And I would use 200 grams of rice noodles for that, for about half a package. This is a 1 pound package. So I'm gonna fill that up with water and let it sit while I've got the rest of my ingredients that I can chop up. Okay. Okay, I think this recipe is a delicious thing with just the vegetables and the sauce. If you want to add, I'm going to add a little bit of chopped up cashews on top. Peanuts would be more traditional, and I think that's a complete meal. If you want to add tofu, then you could be marinating your tofu with the vegan fish sauce. So I'll show that part to you in just a moment once our fish sauce is rendered down. And in the meantime, I'm going to grab my veggies and show you the stir fry part of this. This is our umami bomb. It's about to start simmering, and I'm going to cook it down until it's about half of the volume. And while the umami bomb vegan fish sauce is rendering away and reducing and doing its thing, we are going to start with the stir fry portion. So it tends to be a lot of use what I have in my fridge. I like to have 1 red pepper for some color, some carrots, and onion as like the base, and then I add something green. So mine tends to be whatever's round, and today it's snap peas. I've got these really beautiful snap peas from my mom's garden, and actually they are snow peas. They're just like the flatter variety, and then you just would snap off the end, and make sure that you're peeling the little ribbons off of them so that you don't have the tough bits. And fresh peas are also a source of protein, so in this case that's what I'm doing for my dinner. And so the name of the game here is to cut everything into really even and consistent shapes, or sizes, I should say. And that's because everything's going to stir fry at the same time in the wok. We're not adding things in stages. So and everything's gonna cook at the same time as the rice noodles. The beauty of this dish is that it's all in one pot. I mean, aside from the vegan fish sauce, which you could make in advance and it makes extra, so you won't need to make it next time. The rest of it all is in one pot. And I don't need to have a side pot on for cooking the noodles, which I love. Save me time doing dishes. But you really have to get down the cooking the vegetables at exactly the same time as the rice noodles. So I'm going to show you. This is how thin I'm making my carrots. Pretty thin. And these are going to take the longest to cook, right, of all the vegetables that I have here. So it's pretty important that your carrots are quite thin. I'm just cutting mine on the bias, like a little bit of an angle. You could julienne them if you want, meaning like long thin strips. I just prefer this shape for varieties because I've already got that shape going on in the noodles. So I like something that I can pick apart from the pad thai. Although the red peppers, you can put them in a dice or a julienne, whatever works for you. Just something that's gonna cook quickly. And I like a little bit still of like raw-ish bite to the vegetables in this. Not, you know, cooked to death kind of thing. Okay. I know some people are fairly picky about red peppers, like cutting out all of the ribs and things like that. Honestly, I have done that in my life, but I've never eaten a red pepper and thought, oh, I should have taken that rib out of there. So it just in the name of wasting less food, I stopped taking the ribs out of my red peppers. So now I've got my peppers, carrots, and snow peas. If you want a little bit of a milder onion flavor, use shallots instead of onions. I will julienne this, and by then our vegan fish sauce should be done, simmering away. I did mention, because it makes extra of the fish sauce aspect, the vegan fish sauce, then you can use the rest of that vegan fish sauce to marinate some tofu. Or you could use it in lieu of fish sauce in any recipe. So this is what I've got going on, my colorful rainbow veg. Okay, the umami bomb is done. Feel free to save that seaweed and snack on it or put it in a soup. And those mushrooms are gonna be so good. So I'm straining it out. Again, like you can save some of that for another purpose. And then we're gonna start our sauce. So the whole thing about pad thai is all about the sauce. And you need to have just the right amount of sauce, which is why in this case, I really measure to make sure you have the right amount of sauce, the right amount of noodles. I'm using coconut sugar as a substitute for brown sugar because it has less effect on the blood sugar. It's just a healthier option, but either work. And then you're gonna do more soy sauce, a couple tablespoons of soy sauce. And then I'm gonna dip into the vegan fish sauce. and do 3 tablespoons of that. You need to add water or vegetable broth to this recipe. I'm adding water, so you have just the right amount of cooking liquid. I add a little bit of tomato paste, and I know that there's folks who don't like tomatoey sauces. For their pad thai, they prefer the tamarind. And so if you have tamarind, add it. If you have tomato and you prefer tomato, that's fine. I do about a tablespoon of tomato paste in mine. That's how my family likes it. I didn't add tamarind to this recipe because it's not always easy to find. If you did, then you would just cut down the vinegar a little bit and add some tamarind instead, because it's really a sour fruit that's just bringing some sour flavor to this. We'll do a couple tablespoons of, this is rice vinegar. If you did not have rice vinegar around, you could substitute apple cider vinegar or white vinegar. I know it's not a purist thing, but I'm into using what I have around. And about a teaspoon of the sambal. Sambal is just a fresh chili paste. And I go on the less side because my family can't handle heat. And then I add more to my own. And that's it. You just put it in a jar and you either like shake it up or stir it till that sugar dissolves. And so you've got plenty of the umami bomb sauce still left over. And it keeps for a few weeks in the fridge, or you could freeze it. If you wanted to do freeze it in little 3 tablespoon portions, then you could just pop one of those into your sauce and let it melt. Okay, now we're ready to stir fry. I toasted some cashews, so I've got those guys on standby. And I'm going to put a little bit of neutral oil in the pan. And then all the magic kind of happens at once. So I'm gonna wait for my pan to get pretty hot and be ready. This is where you can't kind of push pause or answer the phone at this point. And it's only gonna take a few minutes. But once this all comes together, it's fast. You don't wanna overcook your noodles. Now I have a cast iron wok, so it takes a little bit of time to heat up, but she is ready. So all veggies go in, cook till your veggies are about half done. Then put your rice noodles in, then put your sauce in. So I'll show you what I'm up to over here. So what I'm looking for at this point is the right consistency for the noodles. They're nice and softening, and you can just test one with your fingers. If it pinches easily, it's done. So we're very close to there. I've got my plates all ready here for plating up. And that sauce is thickening on the noodles. It's almost completely gone around the bottom here. Can't see too much more sauce in the pan. Let's try one. Almost there. And voila, dinner is ready.